wait no more, no more. It cannot wait. I'm yours. So well, open up your mind and see like the truth. Open up your plans and day you're free. I look into your heart and you'll find that the sky is yours. So please don't, there's no need to complicate. 'Cause our time is short. This is all fate. I'm yours.
Everybody can make their way to their seats now.
Yeah! Oh, first person.
When we were kids walking barefoot in the streets of Texas, I beat up our next door neighbor and gave him a bloody nose because he was mean to her. Listen to this, Dan. And I put this other boy in the chokehold because just in truth. So I've always been really protective of her and always wanted to make sure that she ended up with someone great. And so obviously I was really happy and excited when she started to date this really amazing guy who had this great sense of humor, who was really smart and funny and, you know, this really great looking guy. I was like, wow, like she's finally found someone who is as great as she is. But then they broke up, and then she and one of my favorite things about my family is that we are this weird little tribe of people. And if you know my family, you know this to be true. So that anybody who comes into our family has to do things like play drunken lawn games and run around in the dark in our house and try to hunt each other down with these plastic questions, which is actually a game that we play. So, but Dan kind of seamlessly fit himself into that. It's impressive that he passed this kind of secret tribe freak test. So, if anything else, I think that is a pretty good indication of why Dan should be in our family. So, I think we started seeing Dan as part of our family quite a while ago, so this isn't actually a very big transition for us, but he's just always around. I was going to make this whole speech about puns about his big bottom, but I decided to be a little nicer and, say things about how, he spilled that empty seat at our table so well, and things like that. I think I'm just going to end and say that the bottom line is that we love you, Dan, and we think you're perfect for Heather, and we're so happy that you're getting married. So, thank you.
Few words, so I'm going to keep this short so we can get back to what's really important, the binge drinking. What? Yeah, all right, so I find it really interesting. Are you done? I find it rather interesting that the weddings in Connecticut, even though Heather has lived here for a good portion of her life, and it's where they live now, but there's a big sailing community here in Connecticut. And just outside a minute ago, Dan was telling me how much he loves motorboating. So last night at the rehearsal dinner, Scott and the other Sutter brothers got up and started talking about their first memories of Dan. I believe Scott's ended up with waterboarding. Chris's was something with dirty laundry, and Dan throwing him right underneath the bus. And, well, there were no words to describe Ryan's first memory of Dan, because, well, there were no words. But my first memory of Dan was freshman year at college, when we first moved in. I believe it was the first week. My roommate and I were putting in a a carpet, moving furniture around. So our door was wide open, and Dan just kind of wandered in. And he didn't say anything. He just stood there with that look on his face. You know, that blank look on his face where he could be a guy not offering to help us move furniture around, or he could be a registered sex offender. Looking for his next victims. So it was initially awkward at first, but it developed into some pretty serious man love. So, you know, me and Dan would be fine skipping to class and summering on Fire Island. But Dan has always been one hell of an incredible friend. After graduation, I was living on Long Island, he was living in Jersey, and during our respective commutes home, if I remember correctly, I know I hated my job, and he was pretty miserable at his. So we called each other to complain, and one day I was like, hey, Dan, I hate my job. I completely checked out. He's like, that's all right, but you're not going to be there much longer anyway. Well, why is that? He goes, oh, you're going to get fired. He was right. But what's good about Dan is anytime, you need a company story, something like that, you call Dan up, he'll give you a long-winded speech about what he's doing, why he's doing it, where he's going, what he's doing about it, and, that's just Dan. Although he's not as long-winded as the Sandman. That's Sandman, not Sandyman. Not Sandra. So one time, during one of Dan's long-winded speeches, he happened to mention that he was hanging out in the city this upcoming weekend with Heather Leisure.